In order, everyone rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we get a roll call?
Okay, Wondergem.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Steffes.
Here.
Gardine.
Present.
Palmer here. DeHaan.
Here.
Highboy.
Here.
All here.
Great, thank you. All right. And as a courtesy to the members of the audience and the Board of Education, please silence your cell phone. Public will only be able to speak during the public comment if signed up. I have one form. All right, thank you, Mr. Merkel. All right, on to the next item, approval agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Reports. Board member reports. We'll start with Mr. Wondergem.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if you remember I mentioned this, but I wasn't going to let the budget and what happened with it from the state go idly by, and you just got to know I can't because I think about it all the time. There was actually a couple articles, one of them obviously with the New York Post, talking about a bit of a boondoggle for the governor's pet projects and other earmarks that went, instead of going to the teacher's pension fund, which we had hoped it would, there was 17 million that went out to zoos, 2 million went out to a boxing gym. So when we look at those special earmarks that went out to specific school districts and items inside of that, I don't have the full list. I don't want to see it because I know I would not be happy. But it's just one of those things that, you know, we strive to be great stewards. I'm going to say great because Grandville is a great district. And we try. And we're fighting up against the current that's coming out of Lansing, specifically with this legislature. And it's just very sad, you know, that they raided the teacher's pension fund to pay for free community college. And again, her pet projects, similar to free breakfast and lunch again. Now, do kids need that? Some do, but I don't think everybody needs that. So just, I'm gonna keep following it, and I will keep giving you updates as I find out about it, because even though they say, oh, it may come back, it hasn't yet. And we're about almost 60 days past that. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Barb.
I just want to thanks for the open house and the hospitality there. There were a couple students on the corner giving directions, and they were just so excited and giving me all the details about the rooms. And I thought they did a nice job of helping us find our way through there. I must say I got kind of lost. I did go down a hallway that didn't go anywhere but around. But other than that, I thought it was really, really awesome what has been done to the middle school. And the students all seemed just so excited, and yeah, teachers too. So I appreciate that, and all that they did for the food trucks. And we were holding the doors, and they just kept coming, kept coming, kept coming. I thought it was a great turnout. You know,
Turnout was incredible.
it really was. I just feel like we're proud of that school, and but so many people have been there before going there. You know, I saw some older folks that said, "Oh, it used to be here. You know, it used to be there." So some memories, and also I just wanted to say thanks. I'm sure other board members too will share, you know, their thoughts on that, because I think we all had a nice time. I did know in your presentation, or what you would just say, Bob, is that everyone gets food, but I read in the paper that the only public schools get that, not our private schools. And they were talking in the paper about maybe they should, so there's even some
You know,
talk.
I had heard that.
Had you heard? Yeah.
Yes, that
And
they
then-
should open that up for that if they're going to do it.
If they're gonna.
Why not have every student?
Yeah.
have it? I know,
So I thought
it's,
that was a point of, oh, well,
You know,
not
it-
everybody, but.
it's not a fair,
at least- Yeah.
it was not a fair
Yeah.
budget
Yeah.
for schools. Thanks for making that
Yeah,
comment.
for sure. Thank you. I'm done.
Great, thank you. Kim.
Echoing what I'm sure you're going to hear many times, the Oakstown opening was fantastic. It was great to see the community there. It was great to see the students walking the halls, and I know I walked down to my old office and it was gone. It's now this really cool new seating area with high top tables and project rooms, and it's really neat. Like, you really could feel the renewed space there and the energy with students. I stopped at the amazing shake table and shook the hands of the kids there and talked to them, and they asked me what it was, if I knew what it was, and I said I did, but you can tell me about it. And they're like, well, how do you know? And I told them I visited Ron Clark Academy and seen this in action. And he goes, I said I might even be a judge, and he went, slap you at 20. That was so cute, like just on cue. So they were just great, introduced themselves, and just show a lot of pride in their building, and what Brian and Stacey put together there is quite impressive, so I'm excited about that. It was also a great first day, speaking of Ron Clark Academy. It was fantastic to hear you kick off the year and have that nice retrospective, Roger, of your time here and the different things that we've put out there for staff, but also to hear some inspiring words from our guests from Ron Clark Academy. And I took so many notes that day, things that he had talked about, the difference between being Kung Fu and being Tai Chi, or seeing something a new way, saying Vu Jade. I had so many notes that came there, but one of them was, our curriculum is like paint. You got to prime the surface for it to stick. And so I think of things like you're talking about food. That's one of the things we do to prime the surface. Another thing we do is we just have great staff here. So I want to say thanks to everybody, from our bus drivers to our crosswalk folks to our food service to our custodial staff. You prime the surface every day so that when the teachers and students can get in the classroom, they're ready to put the paint on and make it all glow. So that was really awesome. Also want to say thanks to Jason for attending the Michigan Association of School Boards leadership sessions this week. Among all the other things we do, he took time out to do that, and that means a lot to keep us educated and on par with our communities around us. And I think we're always a lighthouse in those moments too. It's great to go to those sessions and learn how we stack up as a board and compared to other spaces, and be able to lead a lot of times in those spaces. So thank you for taking the time to do that. We know that took time out of your family and or your work, depending on the days those fell on the calendar. And I just also starting to notice as I drive around town, it's campaign season, and so just want to say generally, I hope this season is an improvement to the last campaign season we had for school board. We're a non-biased body here to serve our community, our parents, our staff, and most importantly, our students. And the most important thing that we can do as a board is support that process by being a model. And I hope that we can all unite that, and when we hear things or see things, that we can work together to eliminate any kind of anger or hatred or unkindness in our community, and be the model that we expect to show our students through our curriculum, which is to show civil discourse. Something I got the pleasure of teaching for 15 years, and I hope that we can be the model of as a board and as a community, as we come together and we look at what's best for our students, what's best for our community, and how to interact and choose wise candidates for our board. So putting that out there for everyone to hear. That's all for me.
Thank you. Joe?
I'm sure that social media is full of first day to school photographs, but I have not had a chance to look at them all yet. I'm sure there's a million of them out there, including my own. Just proud to participate in the ribbon cutting and the back to school kickoff. So not a whole lot to add to that. Everyone's talking about how amazing it was. It was. I did run into one teacher and asked him where his room was, and he pointed out to me where it was, and I said, "Oh, you're in Mr. Mullions' old room." He goes, "You know Mr. Mullion?" I said, "Yeah, I know all about Mr. Mullion." So, anyways, that was cool to go back there and say, "Well, Mr. Schwalm was in that room, and this house you take attendance in this room." It's kind of cool. So, some of the old school remains, and the new has progressed. So,
It was really cool to see Orm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
his daughter
I
is.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's her room.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was good running into a lot of people there. It was fun.
Yeah. Great.
That's it.
Thank you. Amy?
Well, I just want to also add that Joe will show you his elementary school pictures. Got to see that on the high school kickoff, which was it was so inspiring. It was just a really great morning. And I think Bob and I also said there was a lot of really great energy in the room. It was really fun to hear people hooping and hollering. And I also wanted to add that when we did the Oakstown ribbon cutting, we also had community ed, and that was open. And it was so great to see all of those different programs with people represented at tables and kids having fun and all the interaction there too. So what's really great about that building is that we're also using the space at the other end to also service everyone. So I think that's another great example of how this district, like Bob said, we're really good stewards of our buildings. The fact that we have reduced, reused, and repurposed that building now 3 times, right? Like that's a 3-time recycle, well, maybe just 2 recycles. But yeah, I'm really proud of Grandville. It's been fun to watch it grow, especially these last 2 years. So
They call that no space left behind.
no space left
behind. There you go. There you go.
That's true.
Great. All set.
That's what I've got today.
All right. Mr. Don.
Just a few comments on Oakstown, just to add, like Mr. Mulder, it was I liked watching him. He was like a child with a new toy. I mean, he had put a year of his heart and soul into putting that together, and he did a great job. I mean, it was awesome, the opening and the construction, and Heather and Roger, I know, for working on the designs of that was great. That's where I went to high school. It was interesting to see what stuff remained and where the classes were moved. And then for me, like my kids now are out of school, but it's interesting to see them now back coaching. So my older one's coaching football with the varsity and excited on doing that. And then my younger one is coaching 7th grade. So that's cool for both of them to be back and doing that. And 7th and 8th grade, they had first practice today and they had over 100 kids there. So that's a good sign for things to come of people interested in participating.
That's great.
Because for a couple of years there, we had gone down to 1 team for each 7th and 8th grade because they were 25-ish, and both of them are both up about 50 again. So that's good.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Great. Good.
That's it.
Great, thank you. All right, so for me, right, yeah, Oakstown was great, right? It was really a lot of fun to be there for that ribbon cutting ceremony. I was watching on LinkedIn, actually, I saw at OAK, they posted some pictures and stuff like that, but they had 3 different ribbon cuttings this year.
That day?
I don't know if it's that day, but this year, I guess my point being, right, they were balancing 3 different projects, right? And to see the attention we were able to get from them to be able to complete that, I mean, I just, hats off to them for being able to pull that off. That's a lot of work to try to pull off 3 different facilities like that. So that was great to see. I got a chance to walk around with Mr. Remnap. We met up at the library and we walked from there all the way up to where his old office was, and I got a chance to reminisce a little bit about how there used to be the computer lab used to be back there by the library, and I can't remember what's in there now, but the computer lab used to be in there, and then how the different teachers and which classes they were in, and how they used to have the lights above the locker, or not the lights, but the windows above the lockers, and hey, this is where you're at. Yeah, it's not here anymore. Where the heck did it go, right? So that was fun to get a chance to reminisce with him a little bit. But gosh, I think they said they had 500 or so people in the morning, even to go through, and then all those people that afternoon. So that was just a great event. A lot of people out there, a lot of excitement for that event, or for that facility. Then obviously the kickoff breakfast was great. I got a chance to sit down with your son as he's wrapping up, or maybe he's continuing. I guess I didn't ask him his internship there in the finance department, and talk a little bit of difference between cash and accrual basis, and how the school does it, Heather, right? So we talked a little business too. So that was fun, and to hear all the things that he's doing, and got a little sneak peek as to what the fall play is going to be for Mr. Tower, because I moved over and sat down with him. So that was a lot of fun to listen to those guys kind of get after it a little bit and get excited. Fall sports are going. Obviously, they're in full swing. We're talking about football coming up here in a couple weekends, and tennis actually had their first match today. They were supposed to have one Friday, but that got rained out. But the fall sports are already going. So activities are moving. So that's great to see, but all the other activities, whether it be band, robotics had an event this past weekend. I'm like, how the heck did they pull that off? Is that an all year round thing now? Hey, great, but they had an event this weekend, so that's pretty cool. And then as you mentioned, right, I was up in Gaylord this weekend, right? So I'm at the MESB, right? I wish the weather was a little nicer. It rained a lot, but that's all right. But that was a great Saturday and Sunday up there for the board president classes there for 2-day classes. So a lot of stuff there to kind of decompress on, and maybe next time we have a chance for updates, I'll speak a little bit about that. So, that's all I've got.
Okay.
Well, I could repeat everything you said because a lot of that's on my list, but I won't. I'll just say last week's events were incredible, very well received. Tim Garrett, he's the vice president of GMB, was at our ribbon cutting, and he walked through and came back. And on his way out, Tim said, he said, Raj, honestly, I've never been to a ribbon cutting with this many people. He goes, this really is a testament to your community and the engagement in your schools, and he was spot on. It's so true. So thank you to our community. Thank you to Brian and Stacy for organizing a lot of things over that course of the year, and to everyone who played a key role. We all did. Our community, our board, our administration, our staff, and our students gave a lot of input on that building. So we can be very proud of that without question. So just a great week. I was so fired up this weekend. I was at a birthday party on Sunday, and somebody said, you seem like really antsy, kind of giddy. I said, I'm ready for tomorrow. I'm ready for get kids back and let's get going. So I'll talk a little bit about today later on, but anyway, I'll just leave it there. Just a wonderful time and a great testament to this awesome community.
Great. Thank you. All right, moving along. Consent action agenda. Can you get a motion there?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? All right, passes. Regular action items. 4A, the Life EMS renewal. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the purchase of services from Life EMS Ambulance of Grand Rapids for co-teaching the Emergency Medical Technician course for the 2024-2025 school year at a cost of $33,951.89. Can I get a motion?
Support.
And as you know, this is an annual thing we bring back to you. Heather's going to talk a little bit about it, and Hedham is here also if we have any questions. So Heather?
Yes, like Roger said, this is our annual renewal. Our agreement is based on the increase in CPI each year. And so you can see that down there for the 2023 CPI year, it went up 4.1%. And so the course cost then goes up that amount too from the prior year. We are looking at 12 students this year. I did ask the question if maybe there'll be a few more that will enroll, but that's probably not likely at this point in time for this school year. Some of the things that we have talked about though, in terms of the student count, is looking at, we've actually reached out to Grandville Christian and Tri-Unity to see if they have any students who would be interested in participating in that program. And then I think, potentially for future discussion, we could probably talk about almost like a regional program like we have with our transitions or ASD, if there are students in other districts who would be interested in it to help alleviate some of that cost. So the other piece that Scott worked on this past year was related to getting this course CTE certified. We don't have an exact dollar amount of what that will look like, but we will be getting some money back from the state once we wrap up the final audit and submit our final expenditure reports to them. So.
Great. Any questions?
Ready for questions?
Yep.
Love to smile at them. So, it's going up and down, up and down, up and down, but what do you think is the driving factor for it decreasing the way it is over the last couple of years?
I think there's not one thing, but I think it's a multitude of variables. If you guys remember when we realigned the science curriculum back
That's about 7 years ago.
Yeah, it started about 8 or 9 when we started, but yeah, it's been there. But implementing that where they went to the third year required for physics because we had to fit those Michigan science standards into there, where prior to that, students could take human biology their junior year, which was that prerequisite towards Life EMS class. Now with that third year science being required by the state, students can double up their junior year, or they can take human bio concurrently their senior year with that. So that's had an impact definitely on that program. I think having multiple other options that we've brought many of those programs here. The benefit of having more elective options is we have a variety of things that our students can be interested in. When you think about the EMS class, that was kind of the first of its kind for a long time. You know, back when Coach Krebs was teaching it and things like that. So we've added things like the aeronautics program, like some of those auto tech things. We're adding AP classes. We're adding the tech centers added offerings and things like that. Dual enrollments become more prevalent as more information about that goes on. Even early graduation has risen since I've been principal post-COVID because I think students are ready to work on getting to that next step in life. And, you know, I can't say I know for certain why students aren't going into the EMT field, you know, but it is a valuable program for the students who take it. I was frustrated to see the 12 there. When I talked to Christy Rieger, our numbers were not at 12 when I originally set the master schedule back in the spring. There's some coursework over the summer that they're given, and some students have dropped out because they didn't want to do the coursework. So to answer that question, Bob, I don't have this is the one thing. I think there's variables going on there.
Yep. So my follow-up, if we're looking at other districts, right, for potential, kind of make it regional, maybe, Region 3, or allowing anybody else, Covenant, Unity, Christian. Is their curriculum in line with ours so that it would be a natural fit for those students in those particular schools to be able to come in and succeed? Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, and so from the non-Christian schools or the non-private schools, you know, students, the mission science standards are the mission science standards, so that.
And I understand that. I'm just saying by the time you get electives, right? Because that's the piece that sort of is probably the most identifying parameter here.
And Christy has allowed some students who, there's been a handful of flexibilities without taking human biology if they're advanced in some of their biology and their chemistry. The students have done okay with that still. And so the curriculum time with Calvin or Tri-Unity, I can't speak on that. We haven't had in-depth conversations on that. But I think if students are having that foundational biology, that chemistry, and some of the anatomy things, then they're going to be okay, because a lot of the EMT class is about the ability to work hard, you know, study, do some of those pieces.
Do you have any idea where your fail-safe number is for future years?
Yeah, I think anything under 10, we'd have to not run the course.
Okay. All right. You know, 25 years, has this been at least 25 years? And it helps us stand out. Now granted, we're standing out in a lot of different areas too, but we still have budget, we still have that piece of it. It's very interesting because it seems nursing is still a very popular track. I mean, for every school around here, especially, you know, Medical Mile, where we're at. Is there any way, just out of curiosity, I'm going to point over here, is there any way to get any kind of a philanthropic partnership with Corwell or Mercy?
Potentially, I mean,
to sort of subsidize this and be able to keep it going?
That's one of the nice things about the CTE route that we were able to do is, like Heather said, it's a year delayed in the funding. we don't expect a lot of funding, but a little bit back from the state. But the other, one of the requirements that's really a good thing in that CTE requirements, we have to have an advisory committee that has community healthcare members on it, Dr. Gardine being one of them. And we have connections with Corwell, Trinity, we're doing some work with Davenport. So all of that collectively could potentially lead to some of those things. And expanded opportunities. One of the main goals of going into it this year that the advisory committee wanted to do was better publicity about the diversity of the healthcare field. You mentioned nursing, but so many other things that this could build a background for kids.
Right.
And hopefully educating them further could also help to do that. So I know it's a long answer, but around
No,
that,
it was good.
Yeah.
potentially yes.
But
we're
by the
just getting
time,
to that right now.
when you're just getting to that and we're just getting down to above 10,
Yeah.
do you understand?
Yeah,
It's almost like,
yeah.
are we even gonna get there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of conversation about this last year, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
You know, about the
Yeah.
trend going down.
No, I do.
And,
I love this program.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing we've talked about in that committee is increasing participation and possibly just helping them understand some of our minority populations that might not think about this, our Yale population, make sure there aren't language barriers. One of the great things about this course, as we know, is this is classic school to career, right? The kids that can pass this class in the summertime can get a job.
I think that to me, that's probably one of the more challenging pieces to market it, right? Because you're talking about, oh, we can market this to people that are future doctors, right? But you're also marketing it to people that are, at school to career, right? And I don't know if there can be sometimes be a negative connotation to it, maybe to those people that want to go become nurses, doctors, like, well, no, this is really geared towards this. And those people that it's really geared towards the career, they're going, oh no, it's really geared towards these folks, right? So how do you straddle that line, right? And how do you rebrand it?
Story, right?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Because
What's the success stories we've had over the years with students that have gone through this?
Yeah, and the ones that, it was just a couple of years ago, somebody had gotten an email about one of our students who was at Hope College in the athletic training area, right?
Yeah, I remember
They
that.
just come out of this program, and just last year, we heard the story of, it was April's son, who finished and passed his test and moved up north and was doing this crazy job as an EMT, like 3 days a week on 48-hour, or 2 days a week on 48 hours. It sounded awesome, right, for an 18-year-old kid who can do those types of things.
And I
Now
think
he's
maybe,
going to college this fall. He's going to go to college, he is, yeah.
I was going to say,
But I think that's how we straddle, right?
Yeah.
We tell our specific stories
Yeah.
and the community engagement.
Well,
I think it's exciting. but-
one of the tools we use at work a lot, right, is helping people understand what are entry-level positions and what is the career roadmap from there for people, right? And you can see all the different varieties you can get into, right? Once you get into direct supervision of an individual on a production line, right? Hey, that opens up a whole bunch of different windows for people. And here's where people have gone. They've gone the quality route. They've gone the supplier scheduling route. They've gone the plant management route. There are all these different, and I think maybe something like that could be useful to help people see the multiple paths as opposed to getting their own blinders on and just going, think it's one route.
With the CTE certification, there is some curricular flexibility that can come with that. Scott and I are still exploring what that looks like. For example, our kids that go out to KCTC, they don't have that third-year required science class. What that looks like, because of the fact that it's a senior class, they would have to commit to that prior to.
Right.
We have to get some understanding around that, but there could be some developed curricular flexibility going back to what we saw prior to the adoption of the Michigan State Science Standards, so that kids could access the course without having to take that third-year required science.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
As a practical question, you guys do, and I'm very excited about this year as I have a sophomore, but you have that sophomore career fair. And do you ever kind of track who are the kids that took it, and then would they be willing to come back and like have a booth or a table or whatever and be one of those people? Because for me, that's just a practical, there's so, like you said, there's so many choices, but do our students know that if they take that, then they can go in all these other directions? Because many of them just think they're gonna be like an EMT and
Right.
that,
Yep.
like what Evan's doing, right?
Yeah.
And And so I just wonder if it wouldn't behoove us in the spring when we do that sophomore career fair, because I already have ideas for that too. And if we could, if we could find alumni that would be willing, or that are close by, and that would be willing to go. It's not just that you're going to be an EMT. It's not just that you're going to do, like all the different opportunities that they could have with it. Because I think there's so much they get bombarded with that they don't realize what things can lead to.
And there's so much opportunity.
So much, yeah. It's a great, and like I said, like, to me, how can we boost up our numbers, kind of in the immediate, and then.
One of the things we
about
talked
other
about
things.
last year too is as we've continued to add programming that are more school to career
Yeah.
or pathways, more tangible for students, it'll pull from this too. So we've got a whole bunch of other things going on as well. But one of the programs, our aviation program that Chris Groenhow brought to us a couple of years ago and has gone through, a year of piloting and a full year of actual curriculum. They have a nice career technical education advisory board that I've been sitting on. And so I think that might be a great way too to boost, is modeling that for the EMT class, because it brought in people from all sorts of angles of the industry, where a student might be walking into the program thinking, piloting. Well, we didn't talk about that. We talked about interior design in aviation. We talked about electronics in aviation. We talked about maintenance. We talked about being an EMT on a plane. We talked about being an air marshal. We had the sheriff's department in. We just saw every angle of that industry through the lens of that one course of opportunity. And they have students going all different directions from that program related to it, but not all necessarily going into becoming a pilot. So I think that was a really wise thing that he did, and was seeking CTE as well, credits. And it has been a benefit. Even if the price is low here, we're seeing students going to college from that one course with 5 full credits or more already applied to their, that's a huge savings to them. So this amount here, anything that they can pay that forward because of that extra work on the back end, ends up paying back to our students in our community, 10 times over. So I appreciate that so much.
These are kids with a servant's heart, and we place a lot of curriculum where they can branch off into those, but you're absolutely right. If you want to be a firefighter, you need to take this class. If you want to be a policeman, you need to take this class. There's just so many variations that you would need this, or that this would help. And I just don't know if they don't know about it, but I'd love to see that made a priority to team up with Corwell, or, we did a thing with Metro during the Stop the Bleed campaign, and they kicked in a lot for us. They helped us a lot, so maybe
Seems
to
like
reach
we
out to
had
those
a
folks.
program with Metro, with some kind of health class or something, where we had students going there. You're looking at me funny. Okay.
There was
Something?
there was Bryant's kids that did just like maintenance things
Oh.
for the Region 3 special ed
Okay.
program.
I thought maybe it was KCTC that was doing some placement with people.
And we've had a number, and that advisory committee is exactly the one that we're starting the conversation with. And we talk about the success, I don't want to say successes, I think they're all successes. Somebody in that advisory committee shared a great story of a student who had started this course and very quickly realized, I can't handle this, I don't know what I'm out.
Yeah.
But
Better know now.
the success of that
Better to know
is
now, yeah.
in their 12th grade year,
Yeah,
in a very safe
absolutely.
space, right, when they have time to do some shifting.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Is there a mental health portion of their units of study? 'Cause they're approaching a lot of things as EMTs that aren't,
yes.
physical, mental, they're not lacerations or broken bones, but they're broken minds and broken hearts.
Yep.
Life does that. Like,
Okay.
Yeah,
does all
it's
the-
part of there's a unit in the curriculum.
They have to do ride-alongs and
Yeah.
do all that, so.
And is there extra care for them after they do ride-alongs to process the things that they see?
The
Yes.
class.
Okay.
And it's crazy what they hear
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
and what they see.
Yes.
Those of you with that kids know, I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it, hearing some of the stories from my
My,
own
my daughter took
child
the
who didn't
class.
see any of those, but then told me how everybody else got to see all the exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my
But I
daughter
thought
was
the
in
same
it
thing, like,
too.
okay, who's talking to these kids afterwards because they're
Yes.
17, maybe.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's real life.
Yeah.
No one talked to me, and I turned out fine.
I just remember the
kidding.
students.
Yes, you did. You turned
Is that
out
what
just fine.
Thank you for
Just.
confirming that.
Just.
The additional hours, is that the ride-along? And if so, how many hours do they do that? I'm not sure if y'all know that or not.
They do 2 ride-alongs. I don't know how many hours. That I
Okay.
think are at least 8 hours each. If they're over 18, they can sign on and do an extended ride-along and get some of those hours. Because some of the EMTs are doing 12, 14-hour shifts.
Right. Okay.
Good. Any other questions, comments? All right, let's go ahead and do a vote. Let's do a roll call.
Okay. Klein,
Yes.
Stefas,
Yes.
Gardine,
Yes.
Dahan,
Yes.
Palmer, yes. Wondergem,
Yes.
Highward.
Yes.
Okay, all pass.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, on to reports and discussion items. First day of school report.
Yes, so we've been talking about this, it wasn't back to school, now it's the first day of school. So I guess the next one would be after first day of school, right? Or whatever. Great beginning, you know, like any new year, there are little kinks and things we gotta work out. We had a few things with transportation that we believe we've worked through, that, you know, we feel good about. We think they'll be better. But overall, just a phenomenal day. I would like to thank our grounds, our custodial, our maintenance, our transportation, our office staff, and everyone who really does a lot of those behind the scenes things that you don't always notice unless something goes wrong. I would just really like to thank them because I know people, our food service, another one, our people have worked very hard to prepare for amazing experiences for our kids. And you can't do what we do without those people behind the scenes that make it happen, and they truly make it happen. So I just really wanted to point that out. You know, I kind of look. You guys know I'm a Michigan football fan, and yes,
And we forgive you.
Yes, I know you do. And Jim Harbaugh's gone, but he always had this saying, "Better tomorrow than we were today." You know, each day, and you always are looking to be better each day. And I think that's the same thing that we're doing. And I think tomorrow, while things went pretty doggone good today, I think things will go even better tomorrow, and we'll just keep working at it. So very, very excited about it. I watched the drop off this morning. You know, it was one of those things that like 3, I didn't sleep much last night, of course, but like 3 in the morning, I'm thinking, okay, it's been like a year before we've had people flowing through there. How's the traffic? Are people going to remember what goes on there and so on? How are the elementary drop-offs with parents and kids going to be compared to what used to be a middle school experience that we had? And it was great. Our parents were so good. I was watching the cars and the, you know, negotiating where to go and everything, and letting their kids out and walk along the sidewalk, which we greatly appreciate because that really opens up a lot of space, which allows people to get off the road if they're on the road. So I thought it went great, went really well, and again, just very excited about the school year.
Fantastic.
So, it's been a long time since we opened a new school. And
Last year.
I was gonna say last year.
no.
been a long
We went middle school to middle school. This is adding one. How was the transportation chaos? Because I'm going to tell you, there was a bit of chaos this morning, especially with the transfers.
Well, here's one of the main things that happened that people don't know is we had a lot of kids enroll in the last few days, and that created, I mean, when you have to finagle, think of transportation, you think you've got your route set, how things are going to work, and all of a sudden, Heather, how many kids did we have?
From when I left on Friday until noon today, we had over 23 kids.
So more.
So even more.
Yeah.
In the last 2 weeks, and they're all resident kids. Yeah, the last 2 weeks have been crazy. few of us who are going through it. And every time we hit submit and the new kid is added, it shoots stuff out to transportation so they can get them on the route that they need to be on.
I think I'd like to see a live feed of Ryan while that was happening
Yeah.
all day today.
Yeah, so, you throw in more kids, it does create some things.
It was just a transfer. Those are I
yeah.
got 2 calls today on
Yeah,
the
and we've worked
transfers.
on that, so, yep. So I think that's gonna get better.
But I can't think of how long it's been since I even have said that. So,
Right,
No.
right.
I thought, I was thinking it was the 5-6 opening, but I never thought about all those
It's-
elementaries.
yeah,
That were-
yeah.
And it was the elementaries that I got the call on,
Right.
calls to.
Love that, though.
Okay.
But a lot of enthusiasm, so.
Mhm, definitely.
And it's a good problem to have.
It's a great
Right,
problem.
yeah.
It is.
That's good.
So were these all younger? These were all younger students?
The majority are kindergarten to 4.
That's fabulous. That is so
Well
great.
done.
Nice.
Yay.
All right, good.
Mhm.
Nothing else? Fair enough. All right, we're gonna go into public comment then. First up, we have Beth Leggett. You will have 5 minutes, and Mr. Hahn will keep track for you. What's that?
I remembered this.
You gotta remember this time, right? And then he'll give you an update at 1 minute left.
Do you want me to set one over here, too?
Well, first of all, yeah, Beth Leggett, I'm a Grandville resident. I have a grad and a senior. So first of all, before I forget, being a video producer and having 2 kids who have gone through or are either in video, maybe throw in Mr. Cox, hey, don't you make a video about the EMS program? So throw that into his assignment book. So, get some of the alumni speaking. But anyway, I come to you today as a band mom who has been a band camp chaperone for the past 3 years. I've been known as Duck Lady, because I buy and hide ducks for the kids all throughout the week. So we did about 65 ducks this year, gave little prizes, goofy stuff. It's just one way to break up a really long but rewarding week. And as a chaperone that was on site at this year's band camp at Western, I wanted to just clarify a few things based on the comment that was made at last week's board meeting. First of all, as a chaperone and a parent, I was really grieved to hear that this student went through such a difficult occurrence. I do take this personally, as we worked hard to protect all students. Also in that light, as a parent and chaperone, I did want to clarify the protocols and procedures that were in place and communicated to all students. And that the student that went through this difficult situation did not do so because of any policies, but because of a poor choice by one particular student. So the protocols we had in place and communicated to students were, in the dorms, students who identified as transgender were housed on the wing of the dorm that corresponds to the sex they were assigned at birth. Those students had their own rooms without a roommate, and they had their own non-shared private bathroom. Male and female students were housed in separate wings of the dorm, and these wings could only be accessed by a Grandville chaperone or a staff key card. The only time or place where there were public restrooms to be used were the porta potties, God bless those who used them, on the band practice field and at the dining hall. Transgender students were required to use the bathroom of the sex that they were assigned at birth. Additional procedures. Every night, the chaperones on each floor checked in with each room to ensure their kids were in their rooms. And we asked, how you doing? I know you have blisters, we all do. Everybody hurts, but hang in there. We asked them if they had any questions, if they needed to talk with us. We wiped tears, we provided Band-Aids, told corny jokes, me, and gave encouragement. And then we taped doors. This is a band camp procedure where we take a piece of blue painter's tape, and once we check them in, they're both in their rooms, we put that painter's tape over the door jamb and door, and they were taped in for the night. So obviously if we saw that tape disturbed in the morning, we had a lot of questions to ask. So, and that tape would remain on there until 6:30 a.m. the next morning, where we, the chaperones, removed it from those doors. So after that check-in, around 10 or 11, we've had 15, 16-hour day. We met as a chaperone team, as well as the staff and band directors. And just to talk about if any students were struggling, any issues that we had to deal with, and what the day looked like ahead. So every effort was taken to protect and serve all kids. Again, I personally have compassion for all kids. I have adult transgender friends that I grew up with in a very traditional and conservative area. I can only imagine the difficulty that gay and transgender students go through in its current atmosphere, or anyone who doesn't fit the mold of what certain people think they should be. At band camp, we loved and cared for the seniors, the sometimes fragile freshmen, the transgender kids, the Moms for Liberty kids, and the kids that work through physical and emotional challenges all week. At the end of the week, one student that I had given some hugs to and some tough love looked at me in the eye and said, "I did it." And I said, "Yes, you did." So I just wanted the board and anyone else presenting or watching to know that despite this uncomfortable and difficult thing that happened, that band camp followed GPS protocols. It did not happen because the school rules were lax or too liberal, but because one student regrettably did not follow those protocols. Obviously, the Title IX discussions are upon us. I know it will be challenging for all the board and school leadership how they work through to respect, protect, and care for all students, especially because we are a public school and we serve our public families. I will continue to pray for our kids, our families, and you all as we navigate the path ahead. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. No other public comment. That will be the end of the meeting. The next board meeting of the Grandville Board of Education will be Monday, September 16th at 7 p.m. at the Administration Building. Enjoy your holiday weekend. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Seems so far away, but it is.